Naomi, welcome to the Big Lab podcast. How are we?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on your channel.
No problem. I think we've been following each other for quite a while, so it's probably a bit of an overdue conversation, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if we've actually met each other, maybe at like a My
Don't
Protein
think
event or
I don't think
something.
so because since I started working with them, I've not been invited to any. Like I went to one
Or have you not?
before. Yeah, I went like the 10 million event, but that was just as like me turning up, not with my protein.
Yeah, I think I just know you from Instagram,
I think
probably. I
that's the
think it's the
case.
first time we've actually spoken.
It's quite often the case with these podcasts. Like I've been following people for years. I probably spoke a few times on DMs and then never really spoken in person. So it's a nice change to be able to get on here and have a chat, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I think we should go straight into it then. So obviously, do you want to give yourself a bit of an introduction to who you are and what you do?
So my name's Naomi. I live in London and I currently work full time as an online coach, an online fitness coach. I work for a company called Empower, run by Emma Fit on Instagram, which you might know. And yeah, I basically work with women. It's a very holistic approach, and we basically help women transform their bodies and their mindsets. Like some women we help lose body fat, some women we actually help gain weight who are like maybe suffering with amenorrhea or need to reverse diet. So yeah, but it's just helping women pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, I love it. It's like a huge passion of mine. So
So
yeah.
previously, before you were working with Empower then, because you obviously did a bit of PT before that, were you only working with women then as well, or was it a mix before you moved to Empower?
No, then it was actually a mix. I was only doing it part time, and I was also doing personal training. I lived in Brighton, um, but yeah, I think I more was more interested in helping women just because I'm a woman myself, and I felt like I had a lot of experience with helping women, like rebalance their hormones and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But I did have male clients as well.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So you like rolling it all back, you obviously speak quite a lot about it on your Instagram. You came through an eating disorder before the personal training, didn't you? Like how did that start and what sort of age was it that that happened?
So it was actually very young. As a child, I'd always been like, had no problems with food at all, was like really, I love food. I was very like, had a big character and like enjoyed life. And I think it happened when I got to like puberty age, about 14, 15. I started becoming more aware of how I was looking. And I think obviously all girls, when they get to like 14, 15, they're like, they hit puberty, they get a bit more curvy, they
Yeah,
like gain a bit more weight, which is like completely normal. And I think I found that quite difficult. I kind of felt like I needed to be like skinny and slim to be loved, which is ridiculous. Um, I think it was like a few like triggers that happened in my life where I'd felt out of control, and like my dad, he didn't mean anything by it, but like he kind of said something which was like, "Oh, you've gained a bit of weight," or my best friend at the time, her mum was like macrobiotic, which I don't know if you've heard of. It's a type
no,
of diet. So she was very like talking to us always about dieting and stuff like that. And I think like a normal someone like who doesn't have that eating disorder predisposition
yeah.
would be fine. But for me, it triggered. I started like dieting and it just got more and more extreme. Um, I remember when I was like at school, I started like not having my packed lunch
Right.
and chucking it away. And at the beginning, it was like I wanted to look good, but then it got to a point where it was like it wasn't about looking good because I started like getting so thin. I think I went down to like 5 stone, which is
Wow. Yeah.
like, yeah, I ended up having to be hospitalized. And yeah, I was in like two different hospitals. Um, so yeah, it kind of really spiraled out of control quite quickly.
So we're
So yeah, that
talking like
was
14, 15 years of age at 5 stone in hospital.
yeah. So yeah, I guess like it was years ago now because
Yeah.
now I'm 32. So,
Right.
and I was 15, 16 at the time. So yeah, it happened at a really young age. And I think I kind of suffered with my eating disorder. It wasn't just like, although I was really unwell at that point, I managed to kind of get myself out of hospital, gained weight, started seeing friends. I remember like at 21, but I still wasn't in a healthy mindset
Yeah.
in regards to like my body and my body image and my health.
Yeah.
I was still very slim. I got really into running. Started like joining athletics, becoming quite into like that kind of fitness.
So making it potentially even
Um,
harder to come back out of that, I imagine, if you're doing extra
yeah,
exercise.
yeah, exactly. I didn't have a period, so my body obviously wasn't balanced or in a healthy place. And then I started getting into the bodybuilding side, so started getting into more weight training and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, but obviously it was over like years.
Yeah. So I imagine like a big turning point would have been being in hospital to begin with. I imagine that was a big turning point to sort of say what I'm doing is not right or working the way you wanted it to originally.
Yeah, well, I went to a psychiatric ward, which was horrible because there were girls in there that had like psychosis and stuff, like young, which was
Right.
quite difficult.
Yeah.
And I was there for like months. I couldn't see my mom. It was quite horrible. They like gave me, um, medication to go on and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
wasn't nice. And then I left there when I was 16. And then I ended up losing the weight again. And then I went to this ward in London called Rhodes Farm. Um, I don't know if you know Nikki Graham, who was on Big Brother, but she went to that hospital. She
I
actually died.
remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah, she was on Big Brother a while ago.
Yeah.
So I was there for like, and honestly, like even if you didn't have an eating disorder, being in like one of these kind of clinics would probably like they made you eat like Mars bars, meat. Even if you were
Right.
vegetarian, you had to eat meat, and if you didn't eat it, they'd mix it with double cream and put a tube up your nose and force feed you. You couldn't see your family. It was
It's
like
a
prison.
strange.
So they
It's a
made you as
strange
well get
diet.
your weight. Yeah, like not healthy, no vegetables.
Yeah,
Just
not
like
like nutritious, just pure
yeah, because
calories.
they were trying to get you like used to like not being scared of food, but it actually
Yeah,
made the situation worse.
I can
As well as
imagine.
being around loads of girls obsessed with food, it just wasn't
Yeah.
a great environment. Um, so I was there probably for about 5 months, I think, quite a long time. And then my mum actually ended up taking me out early because she didn't really like agree with how it was run.
Yeah, I'm
They're
not
not actually
surprised.
allowed to have units like that anymore because it's more just hospitals now. Because I think it was
Right.
kind of like a farmhouse building in the country, like
Yeah.
in London, kind of out just outside.
Yeah.
And now because of like health and safety, I think a girl like hung herself or something in there, and now
Bloody
it's very
hell.
much like you have to be in hospital if you have an eating disorder.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left that hospital, and then my mom took me out early, and then I was in such like a anorexic headspace that I ended up just losing weight again, got really unwell. And then I saw a doctor, and he said that my like pulse was so low that I could die, so I
Bloody
should be
hell.
sectioned. And it was that point when I was like, I don't want to go back into hospital. And I
Yeah.
did everything I could to stay out of the hospital because I didn't want to go back. So I gradually started like eating more, trying to like gain. I remember like, I'd eat like I don't know if you know like halva, and like put olive oil on everything, kind of like to try and get my calories up.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and slowly I started going to like I went to university and I started like interacting with people my age, and it took time, but like gradually I kind of like realized there was more of a life
Yeah.
outside of being just like controlled by this eating disorder.
So, what were the coping mechanisms then that you used to get over the eating disorder, or was it just pure fear of going back to the hospital and in that situation where you don't really have too much control about what you're doing?
So I think one of the main things that really helped me get over my eating disorder or recover was actually going to the gym and
Right.
lifting weights and realizing that in order for me to like be strong and to have the energy to train, I needed to fuel my body. And
Okay.
it was like changing that mindset from like wanting to be really skinny to wanting to be kind of like fit,
Yeah.
that actually really helped me to kind of eat more protein, like start understanding nutrition more. And like I qualified as a PT. Um, and yeah, I think it was that like helped me overall to kind of recover a lot. Although I wouldn't say that it was when I got into like the bodybuilding side, I wouldn't say that was exactly the healthiest.
Yeah, because that
So
can
there
have
was
its own.
still a kind of like very obsessive,
Yeah,
disordered way of like eating. Like in 2016, I did a fitness shoot and I had to get really lean for it, and I ended up competing in bikini, which is like another
yeah,
topic. But I still didn't have a period, and I still wasn't
yeah,
healthy. But I was kind of like I gained muscle and I looked healthier. But
yeah.
yeah, I
Because like
definitely say the fitness helped.
obviously the bodybuilding side of things has its own issues and mental health problems and things like that that go all with that as well. So I can imagine
Yeah,
that was tough, sort of coming back to being healthier, booking a fitness shoot to then have to get lean again, but obviously in a slightly different way this time.
yeah, exactly. And I do think that like in the fitness industry, like bodybuilding, there are so many people that have eating disorders, like
Yeah,
past eating disorders, body dysmorphia. It's like so common.
yeah. I've
And
seen
even
like
just to get that shredded is like you have to have a certain kind of mindset to do that, I think.
Yeah, I've seen like clips of people who have been through it, and they say it's like essentially a controlled eating disorder to get to what you've got to get down to for these
Yeah.
like bodybuilding shoots and things like that. Because obviously, being in that situation isn't that good for your body, which is why you can't be there all year round, and which is why you have to extreme diet to get to that lean. And obviously, like you mentioned, like with women especially, quite often they do lose the period, and that should be a sign in itself that it isn't a healthy thing to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I don't get me wrong, I do know like a few girls who do bodybuilding and they actually have quite a healthy approach to it. You can tell they don't have issues
Yeah,
around food so much. They manage to like, gain weight in their off season, and they manage to like maintain like healthier hormones and stuff.
yeah,
But I do think a big majority is do have like issues around food.
yeah. It's so popular these days, especially with the photo shoot side of things. I see a lot of PTs putting their clients through these photo shoots, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't really agree with them quite often, to be quite honest. That's just my opinion. Won't go into it too much. I've spoke about it before and got a few comments. But
Yeah.
so with that being said, then with your eating disorder, how have you used that experience to then help people in your online coaching?
So I would say, um, well, I help a lot of girls obviously who have been under eating, who have lost their periods. And I feel like I can really relate to them because
Yeah,
I kind of understand that mindset, and how scary it is to eat more. Um, I also learned like a lot through my own experience of going through an eating disorder. Like even after I did that photo shoot and I did a bikini competition, I ended up being like, right, I really need to gain weight because I want to gain muscle, because I want to compete again. It was kind of that mindset.
yeah,
And I ended up gaining 10 kilos.
wow,
But I was doing this kind of typical bodybuilding, low fat, high protein diet.
yeah,
And I ended up still not having a period and not have my health still wasn't
yeah,
where it should be, even though I'd gained weight and I was at a healthy weight. And it really like taught me like now, for example, how like I know how important it's not just about your calories, but also like what those calories are made up of. Like you're getting enough fat in your diet for hormonal health,
yeah,
and you're actually like things like stress and all that, those kinds of things. Because it's so like there's so many girls out there who don't have periods, but they don't look unwell, and they don't look like, but they have obviously other um problems. And it's also about like learning to kind of love yourself, which is another like really, it's like your mindset. If you're stressed and your body's under stress, you're not going to be
yeah,
able to like get your body into a healthy place, even if you are doing everything else.
yeah. There's so many things that go into it. Like the human body's so complex. Like you say, you managed to put 10 kilos on, you looked healthier, felt healthier, but the fact that your sort of macro distribution essentially wasn't quite on point, the changes still weren't there, sort of um, within sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, like my body just wasn't balanced at all.
Yeah,
So now, for example, when I coach clients, I would never put a female client's fats low, like even if they're dieting,
hmm,
because I know how important. Obviously, all macronutrients are important, but how
yeah,
that like like especially women, their bodies are so like sensitive that it's so easy for them to kind of go into like a kind of stressed state and end up like their hormones shutting down.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of understand that through my own experience, and actually how I realized how to get my period back like regularly and be healthy,
Yeah.
and change my mindset. And I feel like I can help other women do the same.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah.
as well, like going back to what you said as well about like being able to love your own body. Obviously, social media doesn't help that at all these days. Like there's so much comparison out there, and you see quite a lot as well. Like these, like this photo was taken like 2 seconds apart from this one, and one of them are like sucking in, tensing, and then next minute they're stood on the side and like belly's out as usual. Like what, just like what you look like normally, basically.
Yeah,
And there's
I know,
so
and
much
it's
comparison.
I know, and also like, although like people are like now it's like, oh yeah, it's amazing. People aren't girls aren't wanting to be really skinny anymore, like in the 90s or the
Yeah,
60s. They're wanting to be like it's about all being like having more curves, but it's still like just as much pressure. It's still like you need to have abs, but also a really round bum, but also
yeah,
like perfect boobs. Like you need to be like completely hourglass, and it's still like the same pressure and this like feeling that women have to like conform to like a certain society expectation when everyone's bodies are like different, and it's about being the best version of yourself.
yeah,
Some people naturally just like their fat distribution is slightly different to someone else's, or they might be someone that naturally just doesn't gain weight on their stomach, whereas like some women, it's very natural to have like a little bit of fat on your stomach. That's where like your ovaries and stuff are.
yeah.
So
That's
it's like, and even for men, there's like loads of pressure for men to like so many
yeah,
young boys taking steroids, and it's not just
yeah,
women. It's like it's such so much pressure to
yeah.
be a certain way.
Yeah, like you say, like girls are they've got to be like lean but thick. Lads have got to be like jacked but have a six pack, and they're like. But the thing is, a lot of people are comparing themselves to people who either do this for a living, like their job is to be that shape, or quite often as well, they're all taking performance enhancing drugs anyway to get into the state that they are.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
in a lot of photos, you've got to think like lighting makes a huge difference. If you're in studio lighting compared to like your bathroom mirror, obviously going to look different. If you've got fake tan on, it's going to make a massive difference. But then obviously these photos are the best photos that were taken in like out of maybe 100, 200 photos in a photo shoot. Whereas you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you might have been out for a couple of drinks the night before. You're obviously not going to look the same anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And also all this like editing you can do now on Instagram, like you can like distort your body anyway. So
Exactly. It's so easy to do.
nothing you see online is really like real. Or it might be like there's photos taken of someone when they're doing a bodybuilding show, but they don't look like that like all the time.
No.
They'll be also like bulking part of the year and be more fluffy. So
Well, that's another thing. Quite a lot of these people post photos that were 6 months ago when they're currently 20, 30 pounds heavier than they currently are.
yeah, exactly. I don't think there's anything wrong with like wanting to look good and look like nice, because I
No,
know
yeah.
there's also that whole like body positivity thing, which is kind of like, oh no, you have to like embrace your body, and it's like you can embrace your body but also want to improve your body, which isn't a
Yeah.
bad thing. But it's about being like healthy on the inside too. And I'd say that's one thing of like my coaching is like it's not just about like making your body look good, it's also being healthy on the inside and feeling good on
Yeah.
the inside and being like mentally happy within yourself.
Yeah, I think we both have a similar approach to our coaching, which is mainly the premise of balance,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
a lot of people don't realize that you can have a couple of drinks on
Mm,
a weekend, or you can go and have a pizza maybe every now and again. It's all
yeah,
about having the
exactly.
balance of maybe being a bit more strict throughout the week to then allow you to go do those things on a weekend and enjoy yourself, because life's too short not to enjoy yourself at the end of the day. Instead of like completely restricting your whole diet all the time for the sake of maybe dropping a couple of extra pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think like part of life and living means you have to have that flexibility in place.
Yeah,
You can't always like you can have a rigid plan. And I guess like if you are prepping for something specific, then yeah, great. You might have to make some sacrifices.
yeah,
But it's about being able to be flexible and like go on holiday and realize that you can't always be tracking every single macronutrient. And you might sometimes have things which are less like considered nutrient dense or healthy, but that's not a bad thing. um it's all about like, having that right balance in place.
Yeah,
And I think also, like, there are so many girls, for example, who are afraid of certain macronutrients. Like they think that carbs will make them fat, or they think
yeah,
certain foods are dirty and certain foods are clean. And it's like, yes, some foods are should make up the majority of your diet, which are whole nutrient dense foods, but that doesn't mean that you can't have foods which you obviously might not be so
yeah,
but they're going to make you happy, and they're going to be things that you do when you're being sociable, and like mentally you're going to be happy. It's like getting that balance right, and not feeling like you have to be so restrictive. If you want to lose body fat, do it in a healthy, sustainable way.
yeah. It's like I've taken two mates on recently actually as clients, and one of them is quite a bad yo-yo dieter. He always has been. He's got to a point where he wasn't happy, and I was like, right, let me take you on as like a client, and like we've got him on like just a sustainable plan because basically what he'd do is he'd just chop his calories in half, and he'd maybe last like a couple of weeks, lose a bit of weight, and then he'd be rebounding straight back up. I'm like, no, that's not how we're going to do it. It's going to be sustainable, and
Yeah,
he's on like a nice trajectory down. Um, but yeah, it's about finding that balance. You can still enjoy yourself. You can still go out and have a meal on a weekend every now and again. You don't have to be
yeah,
restrictive.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but on like the flip side of that, I actually saw someone stressing about going on holiday. I think it was on Instagram. They'd booked like an all-inclusive holiday with the boyfriend, and they were stressing about how many calories they were going to eat. And I was like, you've worked all year to maybe pay for that holiday. You've dieted down for the trip. Just go and enjoy yourself for a couple of weeks. Like you don't go on holiday to restrict yourself. Obviously, you can make some smarter decisions if you need to throughout the day if you're that worried. But just go and enjoy yourself. You've paid for all inclusive for a reason.
Yeah, I'd
Don't
say
pig
like
out
a
for a
good thing
week.
to like say is like it's memories over macros in the future when
Yeah,
you're old. Do you want to remember your holiday that you didn't like take part, and you were just like
yeah,
stressing
exactly.
the whole time because you were so worried about, maybe gaining a few pounds, which would probably just be some extra glycogen, which you would probably lose
Yeah,
when you got back on plan.
yeah, exactly.
You get that as well, where you see like girls, they go on holiday, they overdo it, and then they end up restricting, which, like you were saying, that yo-yo approach is just so bad for your body, when actually like you could go on holiday, overeat a bit, and then just
Yeah,
get back on plan, just get back to normal eating, and naturally your body will drop that water weight. Like I always say to people, you're not going to gain loads and loads of body fat with a week away, even if it's going to be water weight, and you just get back on plan.
yeah,
You'll feel like better in a few days. But like by restricting calories, again, it's not good for your hormones, it's not good for your overall health, and then it causes that like yo-yo cycle of like, it happens as well, like you see people, they're really strict in the week, and
yeah,
then at the weekends they like let loose, and it's got to be like, well, actually, like you're not losing weight because it's your average calories across the
yeah,
week,
yeah. You're
and it
absolutely
becomes
blowing it out
really
of the
like
water.
negative. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's where like the 80-20 approach comes in, doesn't it? So if you have 80% of your calories as like healthy, nutritious foods, then you keep 20% of them for just stuff that you enjoy, maybe a chocolate bar every day. It keeps those
Yeah,
cravings
exactly.
away. So like you can eat nice and healthily within your calories, but then 20% of it is fun calories. And you can stop those cravings where maybe on a weekend you absolutely just blow the calories out the water and mess your whole
Yeah,
week up. Instead, you have little bits of treats essentially throughout the week, and you'll find it a
yeah.
lot
And
more
like
sustainable.
I do think like, especially with like when people are dieting, there might be certain foods which they know they find very hard to resist, and they know that if
Yeah,
they eat a bit they're going to binge.
yeah,
So it might be like a good idea maybe to not kind of have those foods, just because they know that they have that
yeah,
weakness there. But it's also like learning that like you can like eat things in moderation.
yeah,
And I think when you do restrict stuff, it does cause that like feeling of like you can't have it, so you want it more, and that
yeah.
causes that kind of negative
But
yo-yo
it's like
cycle.
when you were a kid, wasn't it? Like if your mum and dad say, no, you can't have that, what's the one thing that you want? It's that exact thing that they've told you you can't have. And if you're doing that to yourself with a food you enjoy, the craving's going to be there, and you're just going to probably break the bank and go for it at some point. There's only so long that a human can like naturally resist those things.
Yeah, exactly. And like, for example, like on the other side, like clients that also have had like eating disorders, them saying to me like, I haven't had a bagel for like 8 years, and I've had my first bagel, and they realize that they can actually eat bread, and they can,
Yeah,
eat other foods and socialize, and they don't need to worry about certain foods being bad or good. That's like also really like, it's amazing when you can actually help not just change someone's body, but like their mindset
yeah, I
towards
can
food,
imagine.
so they have a healthy, it's not just about, like I always say to people, like it's just not about like having a coach forever. It's like the coach giving you the tools so that when you leave, you are in the mentally in a good place to actually be able to like achieve your goals,
Yeah,
in like a
definitely.
healthy way, and you understand what you're doing.
See, that's like exactly what I say to my clients. I'm like, I don't want you forever. I want to be able to teach you stuff that you can go away with and then use for the rest of your life. Like if you need me for maybe 1 month, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I don't want you forever. I want you to be able to turn around one day and go, right, I don't need you anymore. I I know what to do. And
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what a lot of coaches need to strive for in general. Obviously, I can imagine, like, obviously, I'm not self employed personally, but I can imagine for someone who is self employed, having those clients that will stay around for a while would be nice for
Yeah, and
consistent
like some
cash.
clients do like to stay around for like, they
Yeah,
actually just like that accountability, they
yeah,
like having those goals and someone overseeing them. And as you know, like even coaches have coaches.
yeah,
But I do think also like it is also important to educate people so that she like
definitely.
understand what they're doing. So it's not just like giving someone like a cookie cutter plan
Yeah,
and they feel like they have to eat these certain foods to get results.
yeah.
Like I was saying, when I first got into like bodybuilding, I was given this meal plan to get lean,
Chicken,
and
rice, and
oh my,
broccoli.
like, and I was literally like, after I did the diet, like the photo shoot, I stuck to this plan because I felt like if I went off this plan, I would like suddenly gain weight and like not be in shape.
Yeah,
And it was literally like, it was literally like 30 grams of oats and a protein shake, and then post workout a dextrose shake for instant carbs because you need those for the glycogen to replenish your muscles, and a protein shake. And then it was like chicken, a tiny portion of rice and veg, and then it was like chicken again but with salad, and then it was steak and 2 eggs, and that was it for like the whole day. And I think I worked out the calories, and it's like very low.
yeah. It
So no
doesn't sound
wonder
like
I
a
wasn't
lot.
getting, like, no wonder I wasn't, I lost loads of weight and didn't have a period. But like, and then I remember like before the competition, it was all like dehydrating yourself, drinking loads of water,
Yeah,
being given diuretics to like flush myself out so I like
bloody hell.
looked lean enough. So
It's not a
yeah,
healthy
it was
sport at
pretty
all.
like extreme, and it just made me feel more scared of like eating
I
other
can imagine
foods.
because, like, not only that, like, I can imagine your energy levels are pretty low, so you're probably not making like conscious decisions properly anyway at that low calories.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. Like being that low body fat, like for a woman as well, like your hormones and everything, they don't function the way they should function.
yeah,
Um, and I guess like I didn't really like change until I ended up meeting someone, like was with them for like a few months, and I remember they spoke about having kids, and it's like
right,
switched in my brain, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, if I want
yeah,
a family, I'm like, and it was like the first time that I really realized, like, I think maybe because someone was interested in me, and I had that, like, they say it's like almost like a reflection when you meet someone,
yeah,
and I realized that, like, it was the first time I actually like learned to like really love myself, and I almost like, I know it sounds like quite cheesy, but I almost like was like telling my body like, I'm so sorry for like all the horrible stuff I put you through. Please forgive me. And I ended up like eating like salmon every day. I increased my fats. I just fed, like when I was hungry, I ate.
yeah.
I kept training and everything. And then my period just like came back. And then I think it was like through that like healing process that I ended up like meeting the right person in the future. Now I live in London. I'm super happy, but it's because I like transformed within myself.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah. So obviously, like the benefits of feeling better were the driving force behind doing what you were doing in terms of like increasing your calories and the obviously giving yourself the opportunity to potentially have a family in the future and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it just like really hit me that like, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? Like my health is like the most important thing.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
it was like a light switch just went off in my brain, and I was just like, it's ridiculous because like I'd say like I'd recovered from my eating disorder when I was a lot younger,
Yeah.
but I still didn't really like love myself. It's like hard
Right.
to explain. Like I still was putting my body through constantly like training hard and sticking to diets and being lean and all this kind of stuff and feeling like really like I had to look a certain way and all this kind of thing. And it took me like a long time to actually really properly like change that. But that was more like a mental thing.
So with that then, so what are your sort of top tips to anyone that's potentially going through an eating disorder or came out the other side and then to sort of keep on top of it? Like what would you say your maybe top three tips are?
I would say definitely like you have to want to get better.
Yeah.
And it's like a long process, but you have to firstly want to like make a change and want to get better. And push yourself outside of your comfort zone, even if it is scary. And I'd also say like learning that like although it feels like an eating disorder is like protecting you and it's like it's almost like a cage. You're like
Right.
creating a cage around you because you feel protected, but you're actually trapped.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like reaching out and actually realizing that there's so much more to life than restricting calories, like being obsessive like that. Whatever stage, there are so many people that have eating disorders at like different stages. Like you might not be in hospital, but you
Yeah.
still might have a type of eating disorder. um, and I'd say my number three would be, I guess, like healing and like realizing what's caused the eating disorder in the first place, whether that's through like therapy or kind of understanding like a lot of stuff is like childhood trauma and that kind of thing. So like a lot of people who are restricting calories, it's probably something that's like triggered them with a lot of things. It like triggers you when you're a child,
Yeah.
like happens as a child, and you kind of take that onto adulthood. So like although feelings are painful, like maybe like seeing a therapist or being able to kind of look at those feelings, and like become aware of them and realize not without judging them and like learning to like kind of like heal yourself and realize that you're so much more than that. So I guess that as well.
So would you
I guess
say
that's kind of.
sort of using your support networks, like using family, friends, like you said, therapy, and anything where you can sort of reach out and use other people's sort of help and support?
Yeah, and changing your mindset on the inside, like changing how your perception on stuff. um
Yeah.
if you it's hard to explain, but it's like you actually have to change your mindset around like life and your body and loving yourself. I think if you like you can do everything, but if you don't actually inside you're not in the right place, it's going to be really hard to recover from something like that.
Yeah. I guess you
So
have to
yeah.
almost take a step back and see what you're doing now and what sort of path that's leading you down and what the potential result of that could be compared to whether you sort of came out of it and sort of, like you say, eat more healthily for a purpose.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I guess like also when you have an eating disorder or when you've been like very like underweight, you're not really in touch with your body's signals. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like learning to like reconnect with your body as well. Um, I remember when I had an eating disorder, I ate, I felt like sick. So
Right.
like I never made myself sick, but I like felt uncomfortable having food in my body and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like changing, like learning to kind of like listen to your body hunger cues again and
Yeah.
learning to kind of yeah like look after yourself more pretty much.
Would you
um
say then, like we were mentioning before, when you're that low of a body fat, that sort of like a brain fog sort of thing, or would
yeah,
that be?
definitely. Yeah, I would say so, definitely. And I think like you see so many people who obviously are really lean or even like do like fitness competitions and they find it
Yeah.
very scary to gain that. I know some people do rebound and they just like eat loads and they gain like loads of weight.
Yeah.
But there are some people that kind of feel like they have to stay that lean, they have to stay stage lean when it's not natural. Like you can't stay that lean all the
No.
time.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for your body. Or
I
girls
think,
being like, I want to have this kind of body type and I want to have abs. I want to get like down to this weight. Some girls can be a bit leaner than other people, than other girls,
yeah.
just due to like genetics and stuff. And it's like learning to kind of embrace your body and be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Look, when you mentioned about like lower body fat. One person that came to mind is, Lucy Davies. She does the
I
Not So
reckon
Fit Couple podcast with her boyfriend.
I'm not sure.
She used to be like a swimmer, so like naturally she's got abs. She's pretty lean naturally.
What? Oh yeah, I think I might know of her.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
gets a lot of like comments around how she physically looks because she is just naturally leaner on her stomach. So that's one sort of um, example of someone who could obviously naturally be leaner than others. And obviously, then there's fat distribution. Some people hold fat more in more areas than others. Like you could hold it in
Yeah,
your back or
exactly.
your
And there's always
thighs
going to be
instead of.
someone that looks better than you. Like you're always
Yeah,
going to have that comparison. There's always going to be
yeah,
someone that's got a slightly bigger bicep or a slightly bigger bum, or they've got different like bigger hips or fit smaller hips, or they have more of like toned legs and their quads are bigger. And like you're constantly comparing yourself. You're never going to be happy like in yourself because
yeah.
like there's someone's always going to be that ahead of you or whatever, or have a different body shape.
Yeah, you just need to realize that it's you versus you, and you just need to do whatever you can do to be the best version of you. As cringy as that sounds.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's all about like embracing, like, obviously, you can work on yourself and become better. And like, I do think that, like, with weight training and training like effectively and eating the right nutrition, even if you genetically don't have the biggest glutes, you can grow your glutes. Like, people
Yeah,
don't need to feel like their genetics are restricting them. But also, like, it's about being doing what you can, but being your healthiest self as well. Like if someone is naturally got bigger bones and they're more of a curvier shape, them getting super lean and being like a thinner kind of shape is going to put their body into like a bad place because they're going to
yeah,
be their body fat's going to be too low, and they don't have the same genetics as say like someone who is a catwalk model
yeah,
who's naturally very thin and tall and has just naturally finds it harder to gain muscle, who probably wants to be wants everyone wants what they haven't got. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So
There's a saying, isn't there, that your sport picks you and you don't pick your sport. Like there's a reason that supermodels are what they look like 5'10", 5'11", and naturally slim. There's a
yeah,
reason that
exactly.
they are doing what they're doing. But I think again, like social media plays into it massively these days. Like it's so easy to go on, even to your explore page. Like I think quite a lot of people it would benefit massively if they had a look on their explore feed, and if there's stuff that they don't like seeing, just hide it. Like it's so easy now. If you go on there, if you long hold it, I think it's like I think it literally just says hide, and you won't get similar content that comes up. So filling your explore feed and filling your just general feed of people who you follow to suit your goals and like something that's going to sort of help you in a positive way is probably going to help you massively instead of constantly
Yeah,
comparing
it's
to
actually
yourself.
funny you say that because the people that I used to follow and like the things I used to watch on YouTube was all about how to get lean or like
Yeah,
bodybuilding.com. I remember going on that when I was younger and like it was all about
same.
like I remember I used to follow like those fitness models. I can't remember what her name is, really famous fitness model that was like around probably
Oh,
quite a few years ago.
um, I think I know the one you're on about. Is it Paige? Someone? No,
Yeah, Paige Hathaway
that's the one.
and things like that. Whereas now, like I like watch things about like like podcasts on like your mindset and
Yeah,
like self development and stuff. And I find things like that on Instagram, like all things about like meditation and like self development and becoming a better person. I find that like way more motivational,
yeah,
and
exactly. You've
also
got to
things
feed.
like about fitness, but like things in like a positive way. Like stuff about like the science behind fitness. So like Brett the glute guy, I like following him because he
Yeah,
does all stuff on glutes and it's like interesting and it's like science based. But I don't like follow so much kind of just models who talk about their full day of eating and are shredded all the time and stuff. So it's interesting, yeah, like what you were saying about what you follow on like Instagram, how like it can have a really negative approach on you.
well, we spend that like however many hours a day, most of us, on our phones. So if you're constantly putting stuff on there that's going to make you feel bad about yourself, then you're doing yourself a disservice in a way. Like if you just unfollow them, it's easy enough done. Follow stuff that's going to push you in the right direction and keep you on a positive mindset.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think a lot
And
of people would see a massive change through that as well.
yeah, exactly. And I think especially with like, I can't imagine what it's like being a child now with all this like
Oh,
social media and
yeah,
everything. But like, if someone has like an eating disorder or like this predisposition, something small can really trigger someone. So it is like
yeah,
quite dangerous, the whole
yeah,
social
definitely.
media.
There's so much
Um,
misinformation out there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like even things like, certain clients can do things like track macros and have that kind of relationship with, tracking and all that kind of thing. Whereas some people just can't, you just can't do stuff like that because it just triggers their eating disorder.
Yeah,
Like you might be able to tell one client, oh yeah, it's fine to like if you want to skip breakfast and intermittent fast because you're having a bigger meal in the evening, whatever. But you can't say that to someone who's got like an eating disorder and
yeah,
has a restrictive mindset because it could cause that trigger. So you do have to be really careful with, and like I never work with people that are really, I never worked with someone who was really underweight or in a really mentally bad place.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like kind of understanding what's going to make someone feel mentally like it's going to help them mentally as well as
yeah.
physically.
Yeah, there's so many different types of people out there, isn't there? Obviously, that like people have had different experiences, going through different things. Like you mentioned before, some of these things could be triggered by childhood traumas. Like you've almost got to become like a therapist as well as a PT. Sometimes I think,
Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, it can be like a lot of, yeah, I would definitely say you do have to. It's not like people don't want to just transform their bodies. They also want someone to
yeah,
like talk to them and guide them and support them. So
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely like I think being an online coach is such a big responsibility, and there are so many coaches which do it in a bad way, which isn't good because they end
yeah,
up, they're more interested in showing an amazing transformation in 6 weeks with like making someone completely like restrict themselves and you know ruin their hormones and all that kind of thing. It does happen. So it's
yeah.
yeah, it's
That's
quite
the
like a
first
risky
thing
because I
I'd
feel
say.
like so many people are online coaches and not even past. They haven't even I'm not saying like a PT qualification does much, but they're not even
Nah,
qualified.
no,
So it's
no.
like,
Like what you said about the crazy 6 week transformation. That's the first thing I say to my clients. I'm like, I'm not here to post a mad 10 week transformation photo. I don't really care. What I want to get you to do is into a routine, into something that's going to be sustainable, and you're going to learn how to do stuff without me in a couple of months' time. And one, because like all they come to me think, well, not all of them, but like some of them will come to you thinking, right, I just want to lose weight. And it's like, no, let's take this back a few steps. You're not currently even going to the gym at the moment, or maybe you're not even tracking your food. Let's like go get the basics ready, and then we'll start to lose the weight because
yeah, and you also like weight fluctuations are completely normal. People get so
yeah,
fixated on like their scale weight. And
yeah,
even I've said to people, like, even if you're in a fat loss phase, you could be losing fat, but your weight will still be like your weight,
yeah,
like weight loss is different to fat loss. Like you will see it going down over time, but
yeah,
like one week the scale goes up and it's like suddenly like absolutely freaking out thinking, and then they lose motivation and they give up because
yeah.
they think that like they've suddenly gained weight when it's not. It's like they just had a bit more salt the day before. They did like a heavy leg
Yeah.
session and they've
Honestly,
just
when
like,
people get that realization, it makes a massive difference. Of like, because I say like, right, we're going to track daily if you're comfortable with that, and they're like, why? And I said, well, basically, what we're going to do is understand why your weight is going to fluctuate throughout the week, and once you get that understanding, you become a lot less stressed about your weigh-ins. Because
yeah,
say
exactly.
say one night it's gone up, you might have just had a meal later on at night. That might
Mm.
be like
Or like
literally why
women
it's
with
high.
their menstrual cycle, they gain
Yeah,
weight. You
exactly.
can gain like quite a few pounds around that time.
Yeah,
And and like your food cravings go up. So often if clients do really struggle with um, that time of the month and they feel like they can't control their food cravings, sometimes just getting them to have a little bit of extra calories around that
yeah,
time actually just helps them to kind of sustain what they're doing without suddenly binging.
yeah,
Because like that's what happens often.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's like things like that. It's not about a quick fix or suddenly like the scales don't drop and I'm not making progress, which I think a
Yeah,
lot of people, that's why a lot of people I think don't, I think people that actually like get results are people that actually they trust the process and they stay consistent despite maybe not every week being perfect.
yeah. One thing they need to trust the process, and obviously look at the long picture. Like, we're not here to make these crazy transformations. Like, I could quite easily put you on minimal calories. You'd lose a load of weight. You might be happy for a week or two, but you're quite quickly going to hate me because you're going to have no energy. You're not going to want to go to the gym. So it just becomes pointless. Like, yeah, you may have
Yeah.
seen some mad quick results within the first couple of weeks, but you're going to be miserable, most likely.
Yeah, or like people being like, "Oh, do I not have to do like loads of cardio?" And it's like they want to do everything to kind of get
Yeah,
as lean as possible. And it's like if you're going to be in a deficit, not doing
yeah,
cardio, just hitting 10,000 steps a day, and your calories can be 300 calories higher than they are, then
yeah.
what's the point of being like that restrictive when you're going
But
to actually get better results long term? Because obviously, if you're already doing like 2 hours of cardio a day, eating
yeah,
1,300 calories, is not just going to affect your health, but you're not really going to be able to get anywhere because once your body just like adapts to that, where else are you going to go? Go down to 800 calories, like
exactly.
ruin your health?
Exactly. The whole thing with my coaching is we want to get you losing weight with the most calories possible, doing the most minimal amount of exercise, and then we slowly chip away at it, and it's going
Mm.
to be a lot more sustainable.
And the thing is, if someone isn't in a position where obviously they have been restricting calories for a long time and their metabolic rate is very low, then it might be actually they're not in the best position to be in a
Yeah,
fat loss phase and they actually have to increase their calories.
yeah,
But I think also some people do get the whole reverse dieting thing a bit wrong. They think that they're eating less calories than they are. So
yeah,
you literally like, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm losing weight eating 2,000 calories because I was only eating 1,000. And it's like, you just haven't been tracking properly.
yeah, yeah.
But you
There's a
do
lot
get
of
obviously other clients that are actually very restrictive.
yeah,
And when that happens, obviously they do need to go on a reverse and
yeah,
increase their calories before they end up like having to lose weight again or lose body fat.
definitely. It's a mad world, isn't it, with the whole online coaching thing. I think, like you say, it's so easy to just do it, and a PT qualification doesn't mean that much these days. And I'm seeing a
Oh
lot of
no.
people with quite minimal gym experience in general, all of a sudden becoming online coaches, and I'm like, you don't really understand it yourself, but that's not for me to
Yeah.
judge. You just got to be,
Yeah,
if you're
no,
looking for an online coach, look for someone with experience because trust me, it'll make a difference.
yeah, I know that's completely true. Like I didn't learn anything. I don't even remember what I learned in my personal training, but it's definitely through experience and researching and learning stuff yourself and learning stuff through your own experience, like I mentioned, with having like even just like personal experience, just like having an eating disorder, being able to recover myself, being able to get my body in a healthy place again.
Yeah,
Um, and like obviously just learning through watching, good like people on podcasts and researching, you actually learn way more and coach your own clients than just
yeah,
doing a qualification.
yeah. I mean, the PT qualification is literally like GCSE PE. I thought, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I know the nutrition is like so basic. It's like if a client wants to lose body fat, should they, or lose weight, should they be having full fat milk or skimmed milk? It's like
yeah,
questions like that.
it's not great. I mean, it definitely needs some sort of control, I think, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
be a bit
just too easy
harder
to
to
get.
qualify. It should
Yeah,
be a little bit like you should have to learn a lot. Like personal trainers don't even know what macronutrients are.
I mean, there was a phase where, do you know Origin? I assume you've seen them.
Maybe.
They're who I got my qualification through, but
Oh,
quite
okay.
just
Yeah, because I
after,
was with YMCA.
right, just after I got my qualification, all of a sudden they were just giving out free qualifications to a load of girls on Instagram with like decent following. So I don't
Seriously.
think they ever considered doing it to begin with, but then because they were getting a free qualification, which is worth, I don't know, 1,500 quid or something, or a grand for level 2 and 3. All of a sudden, there was just a load of girls popping up on Instagram with PT qualifications.
Yeah, but
Just
also like coaches, there are coaches online, like girls selling like booty guides and stuff, and they're
yeah,
not even qualified.
no.
And they make loads of money, but they actually don't know what they're doing.
Well, they're verified by the amount of followers that they've got. People think,
Yeah.
oh, if they've got 100,000 followers, they must know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like seeing people as well. It's like all these like complicated workouts and like they're always
Yeah,
changing these. And it's like, okay, it is boring to watch someone probably lift to
Yeah.
squat and then to add like 2.5 kg to the bar over like
Yeah.
a 6 week period. But actually that's also going to get you results like progressively overloading your muscles rather than just these kind of insta
Yeah.
workouts and stuff.
Yeah, like hate to break it to you, but for like 8 to 12 weeks, you need to be doing the exact same workouts.
Yeah.
um, and they're going to be the most basic exercises, but it's what works.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so what have you got coming up? What's new? What have you got planned
In terms of my like fitness life, personal life,
in general? Whatever. Have you got anything exciting coming up?
um, nothing that obviously I'm moving house soon, which I told you about before the
Yeah, you did
podcast,
before.
which is exciting. Yeah, so I've got a few like nice holidays coming up. I'm still like obviously working on my own like fitness goals, but also like enjoying life as well, enjoying the summer.
Got to be done.
And I live with my boyfriend in London, so yeah, we're really happy. And yeah, my life has actually changed so much in the past year because I was living in Brighton and I ended up meeting someone. We moved to London like after we'd been seeing each other for quite a while. And now I live in London. I do a job that I absolutely love, which I didn't do before. And I love the whole ethos as well behind Empower. It's like such an amazing coaching company. It's like exactly what I believe in. So it's like perfect.
Yeah.
I love the freedom of it as well. And yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably stay in London for a few more years and then maybe was actually thinking about maybe moving to Barcelona, which would be
Oh,
quite amazing because I went there
nice.
recently and it was amazing. Yeah, it's such a nice city.
Yeah.
And it's good for like music as well for my boyfriend.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say it's got quite a big DJ scene, hasn't it?
yeah, it does because it's also close to Ibiza. But
Yeah.
yeah, I went there in June and it was incredible. Like it's got amazing food and like loads of culture
Yeah.
and a good nightlife, good music. So yeah, things are going amazingly well, and I'm as healthy and as happy as ever. So yeah,
It's good
I
to
guess
hear.
that's the best way to kind of start what's going on.
Yeah, no, I've been to Barcelona, I think 4 or 5 times. So yeah, it is a very nice place.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't
been
think I need to
once.
be going back anytime soon. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you have any holiday plans or anything?
I don't have any holidays. I've got a lot as well. I've got 16 and a half days with work, so I need to get using some before the end of the year. But just bought a house, so that's the main thing. I've got my final accounting exam to prep for in November, so we're going to be very busy revising.
Wow, that sounds busy. Hopefully you do get a
So
break at some point.
yeah, I need to just book. I mean, I imagine once I get the house, I'll probably take a few days just to sort it all out, get moved out.
Yeah.
I'm not moving too far. I'm literally moving about 5 minute drive down the road, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, they're the main things. I need a break of some sort
Yeah, I
in
think it's
between all that.
important to like be able to mentally
Yeah,
switch off and realize that like it's about getting that balance right.
definitely.
It's good to train, but also you need to be having like downtime,
Yeah,
meditating, going for
yeah.
walks, relaxing. It's like important to get that balance. And I think when you're quite a hard worker, it's easy to kind of go too much, like feel guilty for not always working and always pushing yourself.
Yeah, see, I don't like just sitting around that much. Like, I don't watch TV or anything like that. I watch podcasts, and that's my sort of downtime. But then also, I use training as a downtime almost, just as like a mental dump, essentially. But I've also got 2 triathlons and Tough Mudder coming up. I signed up
Oh,
for
wow.
a triathlon on the weekend, and it's in 6 weeks. So I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up. I've obviously got my clients, podcast, work, revision.
Yeah, I used to be
But
such like a runner. Like I used to love running, but now I just do steps just because I find I just get too lean if I do loads of running. But my
yeah,
boyfriend's actually really into running. He's really good at running.
all
So
right.
he's really into that. But yeah, I don't do so much anymore. I wanted more just lift weights.
Yeah, see, I don't, I don't hate running, but I don't enjoy it, and I think I don't enjoy it just because of how heavy I am. It's a lot of weight
Yeah.
to lug around.
Well, I can imagine
But
the Tough Mud is going to be quite a challenge.
I've done that twice before, so I know what to expect. The
Yeah.
only issue is it is the week before my second triathlon, and
Oh my
it
God.
was the same last
Is it
year.
like how long is the triathlon? Is it like,
It's a sprint one, so
okay, so
it's
that's kind of not so, it's not like an
well,
Ironman.
no, no, you won't catch me doing one of them. It's a 500-meter swim, a 21k bike, and a 5k run.
Oh wow.
But it's the exact same one that I did last year. So again, I know what to expect. The only issue is again, it fell on the exact same time as last year. So I had Tough Mudder one weekend, and then the next weekend I had my triathlon. So it's just
You
about
don't
getting the
really get a lot
recovery in
of time
between
to
two of them.
recover.
No,
Yeah.
no, but yeah.
Because you are
I
really
mean,
supposed to kind of like taper before a race as well, but I guess it doesn't really give you much time to. But I
no,
guess at least the not the Ironman, the
we'll
triathlon,
call it
it's
an Ironman.
yeah, the triathlon at least it's not like like a long distance, so it shouldn't be.
No, it's long enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I just like keeping myself busy more than anything. So
Yeah, I'm the same. I get like quite bad anxiety, and I find that's something that sometimes I'm kind of like constantly trying to keep above that and like keep doing stuff.
yeah.
I actually started taking CBD oil, and
All
it
right,
really helped relax
I've
you.
never had it.
Yeah, my friend has a business that she's like had for a while called CBD Love.
Okay.
But yeah, I just noticed you just take like a few drops, and it just kind of helps just calm yourself, just calm
I
your
don't know.
body a little bit. So yeah, that's good. It's also got like it's meant to help with like inflammation and stuff as well.
Yeah, I've
So
heard about that. I've
see how
seen
it
like
goes.
the oils and gels that you can rub on joints.
Yeah,
I'm a bit skeptical, but I don't know. I've never used it myself.
yeah. I think I've just taken it as like a supplement.
Yeah,
Um, so it's like the marijuana plant is made up of THC and CBD,
yeah,
and it's a CBD aspect that helps you feel calm, whereas the other aspect is the thing that can give you anxiety. So it's
right.
like it's that makes you calm, but you do notice it does just relax you a little bit, which is quite nice. But obviously, I haven't been taking it for long, so I have to see how it goes.
See how it goes long term.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you, Naomi, on socials?
So I'm on Instagram, Naomi Macarthur. I think that's probably like probably the best platform to find me on.
Okay, I'll put it in
Um,
the show notes below for anyone
yeah,
to find.
amazing. Thank you.
But yeah,
Thank you so
thank you
much.
very much for coming on.
Yeah, it was nice to finally chat
It was, and I think it
after
was some
quite
very
a few
good
years.
conversation. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's good.
It must have been what 3 or 4 years we've been following each other, probably.
Yeah, I think
Must be a
so.
while.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
been like a long time. I think it was through, definitely through my protein that
yeah, every chance.
yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Hope
Thank
you
you.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
Take care.